Hello and welcome to part 2 of this React series. In this tutorial, I will be talking about React class component and how we can manage state. So as you can see here, I have a simple create React app boilerplate. I will leave a link in the description so you can download it and install it so you can follow this tutorial. But if we run our app, it's going to open up localhost 3000, and as you can see here, I just have a h1 tag with game stats and nothing else. All right, so let's go ahead and create our folder called components. Within that folder, we're going to create a new file called scoreboard. All right. So class components are very similar to function components when we are initializing them. So we have to import React and component from React module. And the way we initialize the class is by saying class, naming our component, and we're going to extend the component class. All right, the main difference is that we need a render function to return our elements. So we're going to have render and return. Okay, in this case, let's do a h1 tag with saying hello class component. Okay, and we have to export our component so we can import it in app.js and use it. So in this case, we're going to export. We're going to use default and scoreboard. You can either use default or named export. All right, let's save that and let's go ahead to app.js and import the class component let's go to the components directory and get the scoreboard, and we're going to render our element here, scoreboard. Okay, let's save that. It's compiled successfully, and as you can see here, hello class component is being rendered. All right, so that's how we declare a class component, and now I'm going to talk about how we can pass props and manage state. If we go back to our app.js, we pass props in the same exact way as we did for function components. In this case, let's do a message prop. Let's do like a dummy message prop saying hello from props. Let's save that. And the way we access the prop is with this notation within curly brackets. So before I do that, let me just wrap our elements in the parent div tag. Let's cut that and paste it into div. And let's say we're going to have a paragraph tag called this is prop, and we're going to open and close curly brackets, and the way we're going to access it by this dot props dot message. So the name of the prop should match whatever the name we passed it with. All right, let's save that. Compiled successfully, and as you can see, our prop is being rendered within scoreboard. All right, so that's how we pass a prop into class component. Another thing I wanted to show you was how we can initialize state and use it within our class component. So as you know, props are read only. Every time we pass a prop into a component, we can only read it and render it. But with classes, we can actually we actually can control the value within our component. So the state is local and independent and mutable. So it's very useful when it comes to user interaction, or when it comes to receiving data from a server, where we can change our UI based on the different events happening. All right. So there are two different ways we can initialize state. One is within the constructor. Actually, we have to call the constructor within the class. So let's go within the class. Let's call our constructor. And we have to call super. And the way we initialize state is by saying this dot state equals an object. And we can name our variable. So initial score in our scoreboard will be 0. And that's how we can initialize state. And we can access our state by using similar notation to props. So in this case, let's change this h1 tag to score. And we're going to open and close brackets. And we're going to say this dot state dot score. And let's save that. And as you can see, we're rendering our state, which is 0. Okay. So that's the first way that we can initialize state. The other one is a new syntax, and let's just comment this out, and we can actually just say state equals the object score 0. So what's the main difference between two? There's not really much of a difference. They do exactly the same thing, but the new syntax is not supported by older browsers. So that's why I would recommend sticking with constructor. But since we're using create React app boilerplate, and since it comes with a Babel, we shouldn't be worrying about version control for older browsers. But I would still recommend using a constructor method. So if we save that, as you can see, it's still rendering 0. It still works the same. All right. Let's comment this out and let's use the constructor. Okay. So that's how we initialize state. Now let's talk about how we can actually change the state based on the events, based on the user interaction. Let's add 2 buttons where we can increment and decrement our score value. All right. We're going to say increase score. And we're going to have a button. We're going to button to decrease score. Okay, so we have 2 buttons here. All right, now we have to handle the onClick event where we have to access the current state and increment it by 1. So let's create a new function called handle. Let's just say inc as an increase. And the way that we change the state is by using this set state method. So this is the method given by React to handle changes in the state. And the way that we can do that is by opening and closing curly brackets and using the same variable name to change the state. So in this case, we're going to change the score, and we're going to say this dot state dot score plus 1. All right. So that's how we handle the change within a state. So before we can actually use our function, we have to bind it to our current instance of a class. So to do that, I'll show you two methods. The first one is a little bit older method, and then I'll show you the new method where you don't really have to worry about binding this into your class. So let me just show you if we just want to use handle increase in our button. So we'll use onClick event that's given by React, and we're gonna say this that handle increase. The reason that we're not using parentheses is because if we use parentheses, the function will be executed as soon as the button is mounted to the user interface, as soon as it's actually rendered. So for it to wait for onClick event, we have to remove the parentheses. All right, and so it's compiled successfully. Let's go and test our button. As you can see, since we didn't bind this to our function, it actually cannot access setState method. All right, so let's go back and bind our function, and we can do that by saying this dot handle inc equals this dot handle inc dot bind this. All right, and let's hit save and go back. And as you can see, now we can access our setState method and change the current state by incrementing by 1. All right, that's one way to do it. Or you can actually, if you want to bind it within the button element, you can do that as well by saying this that handle inc dot bind this. As you can see, we have the same result when you do that. All right, binding this can be tedious if you have multiple functions that you want to create, and it just becomes a repetition of code where you keep just binding one function after another. Since ES6, we can actually use what's called an arrow function, which comes with implicit binding, so we don't have to actually handle it. All right, so I'll show you by creating a function for decreasing the score. So let's do handle decrease, and we need to use an arrow function in this case. All right, and we're gonna use set state to change our state. Let's do score this dot state dot score -1. So as you can see, this is an arrow function, and we're not binding this to our current function. Let's call onClick event and see if the binding works. All right, this that handle decrease. As you can see, the score is being changed. Increase. We have an error on increase. Oh, since we removed the binding, let me just go ahead and bind it real quick. That bind this. As you can see, binding is very tedious process, so it is recommended to use arrow functions, because even if you forget, your app won't crash. All right, as you can see, now our score is being incremented and decremented. All right, so that's how we handle changes in the state. One other thing I wanted to mention was, since React sort of bundles the changes within the state asynchronously. Sometimes your current state and the state that's being rendered may not match. So to prevent that from happening, we can actually access the previous state and make the changes based on that. So the way that we do that is by saying prev state, and we're going to have an arrow function, and we're going to return the new set of objects where we make a change to the state by accessing the previous state. So previous state that score +1. All right. With that, we can ensure that our previous state and the changes within the state match in what's being rendered in the DOM. All right, let's save that. And as you can see, it works. All right. So that's how we create a React class component, pass props, handle changes in the state, and again, I would highly suggest using arrow functions when it comes to handling user interaction. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this part 2 tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the comments. I'll make sure to check them out and answer them. And if you have suggestions, I would love to hear. But yeah, thank you for watching and have a nice day.